teacher or therapist? And what are teachable moments in therapy? So Mary Pender Greene, it's an absolute treat to have you in my salon.
Thank you.
My physical salon and my online salon. But I'm going to introduce you first to our audience and our community here. So I know Mary for many years as a supervisor, as a therapist, as a career executive coach and trainer, as a consultant, and as the director of, I think you were the director of training at the Jewish Board and Children.
So I was chief of social work and director of group treatment.
To me, when I think of you, I think experience, sustainability, persistence. I mean, you have quietly accumulated such knowledge and watched the field evolve over the years. Mary is the author of Creative Mentorship and Career Building Strategies, How to Build Your Virtual Personal Board of Directors, which I love as a concept. You're the co-editor of Racism and Racial Identity, Reflections on Urban Practice in Mental Health and Social Work, and also of Beyond Diversity and Multiculturalism, toward the development of anti-racist institutions and leaders. But I want to talk with you about this fascinating idea of, what is the relationship in our work between teaching, between doing psychoeducational work, and between being a therapist, and are they the same? Is one a part of the other? Unravel these two identities for me.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I absolutely feel that to offer the best to any of our clients, we really need to be able to move back and forth, not come in with a formula that says this is all that I am in this moment. Whenever I'm working with a client or a couple, I'm thinking about any skill that I have, and we do this as a natural part of being, that you can have information that you gained as a teacher or as a supervisor or as a therapist. And we don't have to live in that box that says, I'm only the teacher here, I'm only the therapist here, because if I have information that's going to make a person's life better, I want to be able to share it, and I do.
And are there specific things that you find yourself teaching more often, that are like the basics, where you always come back to? Or is it almost, it can't be a person by person, there must be some basic things?
Yes, you're right. So when people come for therapy, I'm always questioning what made them come. What are they hoping for? And if they're a couple, for the most part, they're hoping that you're going to fix the other person, that person is doing it wrong, and if indeed you can get them fixed, then there won't be a problem. Especially when the people are not familiar with the therapeutic process, how it works, or what's expected in the process. So I always want to understand what are they hoping for in coming.
And when they tell you, I came to drop off my partner, fix her, what do you do?
So
I mean, do you let it go by, or do you take it on right away?
Right away. I want to understand, what is it that they feel needs to be fixed? But the most important thing I do is to think about that as a teachable moment. Mm-hmm. That people are looking for the right person. I chose this person because they were the right person. They have a fantasy about what this person is going to do. They have all sorts of fallacies and fairy tales about, I'm going to have this right person and we're going to waltz off into the sunset. Then the reality sets in. So I talk to people about the fairy tale and how it ends. That's when the movie ends, when they waltz off into the sunset. So if indeed you've never seen it, then it probably doesn't exist. Because every relationship that you have, there are no perfect people. And so I help people by talking to them about what is realistic in a relationship. And it's not about finding the right person, it's about being the right person. Working on yourself and recognizing that oftentimes opposites attract. What was appealing in the beginning, maybe you wanted somebody because they were adventurous, exciting, etc. And then all of a sudden you want them to become like you. And so I'm using all of those times to talk about what's realistic in a relationship and what's fantasy.
And if I challenge you and I just say, you're shattering my dreams, you're a sourpuss, you're just, I'm not sure I want to continue come to see you. That's not what I came for.
Yeah. And I'll even take it a step further. I've had people say, the relationship was fine until we came to you. And then you found all of these problems, right? So the reality is that they were not talking about the problems, but helping them to recognize that they were not gratified either, and that there were things that they needed to do personally. It's not about fixing someone else. What is it that you're willing to invest in? And also recognizing that many times people get into relationships and they get hurt in the process. They are offended by something early and they hold on to it. And
You told me back then.
Yes.
That one time when we went to visit.
Absolutely. Then I've even had people who are in a lot of pain because they don't know how to fight fair with each other. Mm-hmm. And so what I help people to recognize is that anytime you win, the relationship loses. I also use those as teachable moments. So
what is fighting fair?
So thank you for asking that, because oftentimes people are confused about what that actually means, or that you have to fight at all. So I've had someone who talked about the fact that it was a couple, a man and a woman, and she said to him that in the midst of a fight, she said, "I know why your mother gave you away, because no one could tolerate you over the long term." And he was devastated, and she had said it multiple times. So I said to her, "You realize how painful that is for him?" She said, "But I said I was sorry. I didn't really mean it." And so I gave an example. I said, if we were to take a piece of board and a hammer and a nail, and nail something into the board, nail hammer the nail into the board, you take the nail out, but every time you make another puncture into the board, even though you stop, the wound is there. And so for him, when you say that, it's absolutely painful. It's a hole that's there that doesn't go away. He might accept your apology, but it's wounded him. So it was interesting that for her, it was like, I never thought of that.
And she would not have thought of it if it came from him. Even if he had said everything that you just said.
Absolutely.
Because I suppose part of the teaching is that you would teach him to say to her what you just said.
Oh, absolutely.
But she would dismiss it.
And of course, he had said many times that hurt his feelings, etc. Nothing. So a part of the whole process is to help people to recognize that even though she said this hurtful thing to him, whatever it was that she wanted him to know hadn't been discussed, because the focus was on, why did you say that? Why did you do that? I can't believe you did that again, etc. So the idea of being able to, first of all, identify what it is that you want to share with the other person, and then create language to be able to share that with the other person.